What's up, you guys? My name's Hutch. I make videos, put them on the internet, and you thought I was done playing against International Master Daniel RENSCH? I almost called him Granule Wrench. What is a granule? Something small. My mind goes to sand right now. I don't know. It's early. No coffee yet. Anyways, this is the third video in the series versus Daniel, I believe. And if you guys haven't caught these before, then stick around till after the games where Daniel gives some really fantastic insight into each games, all the specific moves, where it went wrong, and the things I did right. It's really cool stuff. I think you guys are going to like it. All right. Bye-bye. So he should have 7 minutes now. We're still going for our first victory, but here's the thing, guys. If you're like a 1400 player like me, it is really, really hard to get a win on someone that has a 2300 rating. It's not impossible, but it's pretty close to impossible. So didn't we do this last time? Yeah, let's do it. We did this last time. I gotta show you guys the move list. There we go. So I'm inviting him to do the same thing he did last time, which is swing down here with his knight. He didn't do it. This motherfucker. Oh, no. This is the line. This is still the same line. Once I do this... Why not that? Why not that move? Material list is 2 butthole? What are you what? What are you talking about? I don't understand. This isn't good for me.
Let's talk about bitches.
Hall Morales, thank you so much for subscribing for 8 months in a row. I might have missed some resubs. Enigma, I got you. I think I got everybody. Oh, that's clever. That's clever. So this obviously isn't good for me. He's up a pawn. He's already got an attack going. And he's just gonna make my life difficult, isn't he? Which one do I take with here? Let's keep this bishop. So I do this, right? And then he goes back. Where do I want to go with this bishop? Is this too ambitious? Is that too ambitious? Probably. That's why it's too ambitious. Now I gotta go all the way back here, and it sucks over there. And so he wants to push, right? Isn't that what he's trying to do? Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. If I just do this, though. What if I do this now? Once I do this. All right, I have time to think. If I take and then he checks. If I block with my knight. You know what? Let's just do that. I need a castle. He's up 2 pawns, but I think I can get one of these pawns back. How do I get those pawns back? Comes in like that. Yeah, I didn't even fucking look at that. Swipe his pieces off when he's not looking. I like it. I like that idea. So all this looks bad. Probably because it is bad. Is he looking at just pushing this pawn right now? I wonder. The only flavor I've been vaping lately is this one. It's for those of you guys asking in the chat, it is this one, and it's by a company called Lush Vapor, and it's just tobacco. Did he just check me? That's all it is, just tobacco flavor, and it doesn't even taste like tobacco really. It just tastes good. I like the way it tastes. All right, so we do this now. All right, this is resignable.
Channel switch.
Man, I'm having a real hard time with D4 against you.
Yeah, let me. Well, it was the 2 Nimzos. I mean, the King's inning you did fantastic. Let me give you some advice on what's happening in the opening here.
Nimzo's just breaking my balls here, Daniel. Breaking my balls.
I got it, man. Nimzo is.
Let's talk about bitches.
He was a real SOB anyway.
Microphone.
Thanks, Rogue. Appreciate that, buddy.
Microphone
Do it.
activated.
Who was your favorite chess player? I'm gonna guess. Let me guess.
Okay.
Petrosian.
No.
I don't know why I said that.
Get Petrosian, man.
Morphe.
Honestly, I'm kind of more of a modern guy because I'm like younger generation. Like, I mean, Anand is one of my favorites just ever.
Yeah.
Vichy. Fischer's games are great. Kasparov, probably Kasparov and Anand.
Did you see Pawn Sacrifice, the movie that just came
Yeah,
out?
I did. Did you?
Yeah. What'd you think?
It was okay. It was interesting that let me get you invited to the board. You know, no one's even ever tried to paint Fischer in that light where they kind of really dive into his mental illness.
Yeah.
And discuss that it was like an early lifetime thing that it developed. You know.
Yeah.
a lot of people, I think, who were friends and fans of Fischer weren't thrilled about that. They felt like it was developed over time and that he wasn't that crazy young. But I don't really know that that's true either. I think that obviously the guy was schizophrenic anyway. But anyway,
you can't study chess for as much time as he did as a young man without. I feel like to display like that sort of obsessive behavior that early on, it's pretty hard to argue that that probably wasn't a healthy thing for him to do as far as socializing went, and you know.
Right, and I think it's like it's what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? You could argue that the factors in his life were already suggesting that he would become obsessed with something to sort of suppress what was going on in his home life, right?
Sure.
That he was just looking for something to dive into, and you know, some people got into drugs and were hippies, and some people became Fischer. There you go.
Yep. So in this game, I invited you to make that same sacrifice, and you didn't do it.
Yeah, so
that let me down.
I decided that I would. Well, okay. What happened was actually we got the exact same position as before. But if you're willing, I'll go as quickly as I can here for the fans. This might be educational though. One of the key things to understand is that the Nimzo is different than a traditional Queen's Gambit. So when the pawn is on d5. Which we could reach by me playing d5 now, or we could have gotten it like a regular Queen's Gambit that you've probably faced before a million times.
I'm not seeing what you're clicking now. I lost it. It's just the board's not moving on my screen. Oh, there you go.
So weird.
Now it's back.
Now it's going again.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is a traditional Queen's Gambit would go like this. You probably played this position before with bishop to g5, right?
Yes.
Okay. Or like in our game with knight f6, you can see the board. If I had played d5 here, that also would have gone into a traditional Queen's Gambit, right?
Yeah.
But so the point is there's two ways to reach that: either d4, d5 right away, or if I had played d5 in our game. But the thing to understand is that this bishop development here makes the most sense in the Queen's Gambit because this knight is a key defender of d5. You've got 1, 2, you've got all this pressure on d5, and the whole theory of the Queen's Gambit centers around the tension here. So this bishop is doing exactly what it needs to do. We agree?
Yeah.
But in the Nimzo, one of the key things to understand is that when I play bishop b4, not only have I not played d5, so the aggressive aspects of bishop g5 make the most sense because you're hitting the knight who guards d5, etc., etc. But also, not only is d5 not a target, but this bishop is potentially dangerous over here because of the tactics you've been seeing on the dark squares.
Yeah.
So the development of the bishop to g5 in this position, not only does it make less sense overall strategically, but you also have to be very careful because after c5, you get a lot of positions where, in many cases, you don't worry about the queenside dark squares early on in most Queen's Gambit positions, but in this position, it's a real tactical issue. And in fact, after h6, I was kind of baiting you into whether you would remove the bishop completely from the queenside. The normal move here is bishop h4 that a lot of people play, and now they've completely abandoned the queenside, so that makes all kinds of moves even stronger. When I come out and do similar tactics like the game, you don't even have the ability to bring the bishop back to d2 at some point.
Oh,
so,
okay.
And if you take here, this isn't great either because now you've given up the bishop pair early. I'm ganging up here, and black is actually very comfortable here as well. So what I would say is the first mistake, believe it or not, is actually already here. Bishop g5, and ideally for white, if you want to play the bishop g5 systems in the Nimzo, and this is even at the highest level, you always got to play knight f3 first. So you're not playing e3 because then you're losing your ability to do this, right?
Yeah.
But knight f3 maintains that idea and sort of puts the question to black: what kind of Nimzo do I want to play? Most of the time against knight f3, people want to play the Rubinstein, which is b6 and bishop b7, and try to control the light squares. Now you have this idea because now you're no longer worried about any of these tactics here because the pawn is blocking the queen's access.
Okay.
So there you go. So it's move order stuff, but if you think about it bigger picture strategically, it's actually very useful because you're at the level now where you no longer need to be told, hey, develop all your pieces and get castled. You're going to do that every time because you know that if you don't, you'll get killed. But the next level is to stop thinking about just getting developed and getting castled. It's like in every position there has to be some concept of what the bigger picture aspects of the position want. What does the pawn structure want? And I always used to tell my students when I actually contributed something positive to the world, I would say, develop plans, not pieces.
Okay.
And the difference in mindset is that obviously when you're developing a plan, who comes along? The pieces. But when you're developing pieces, people often stay stuck in that thought of, let me just get this bishop out, this knight out, let me get castled, and then I'll figure out what to do.
Yeah.
And in the process, against a strong player, like little bad things happen, and all of a sudden you're like, what the bleep, right? How did I get here?
Yeah.
And that's what happens. So anyway, in this position, even though you made the right decision, you were like, okay, I want to keep the bishop here, you're still already in trouble. I mean, if you had guarded with the rook even, I'm immediately playing knight e4.
Right, yeah. At the very least, you get a pawn.
Up here.
Yeah.
So you decided to guard with the queen, but then this guy falls, and you know, again, one of the good things you do on a practical level is once you recognize you've made a mistake, you sped up and you kept the game interesting by just, all right, I've lost the pawn, let me play bishop e2, something went wrong, and that's a good part of your chess. I think that'll help, especially as I have less time. But the truth is, if we're evaluating it unbiasedly, something has already gone very wrong for white. You're down a pawn, and really, you know, the lessons we talked about in the opening were really the critical points.
And
so
my pieces here aren't really doing anything. They're just, I mean,
exactly.
They're kind of minding the center, but they're not really at the same time.
And you tried to change that. You know, you tried to change the structure and liberate the bishop, and that made sense. But in doing so, now more tactics happen because you're not castled yet.
Yeah, your knight was really giving me problems there.
Probably best here, like last point, was just keep the queen on the board. And if you move the queen here, as passive as that looks, you're actually threatening a3 because the knight is pinned. So I was actually thinking about what to do on this. My original thought was like, oh, if he does that, it's no big deal. I can take here with tempo. But then I thought, you actually take here. You've got 1, 2, and you're still threatening a3. So when you played bishop b4, I was still in the process of thinking, what am I going to do on queen b1?
Yeah.
I think in hindsight, I would. Well, there's a few things to do. Let's see. It's a real mess. I can like move the queen and threaten this, but now maybe you take and get your pawn back, and I don't like that. So what do I do? What do I do on queen there? Do I go all in and Oh, you know what I can do that I just realized is I can actually go for this. I can play d takes e4. Can you see the position?
Yep.
And then I can actually, even with the rook hanging, take advantage of the fact that I have my own tactics and maybe do something like this.
Ooh.
I guard the rook. You go here, then I get this move. This is going to become a real mess.
Yeah.
But still, I think that this was probably your best shot. You should have tried harder to keep the pin here, because I self-pinned by putting the knight there. I thought that the tactics would be good for me, but if you had repeated, I mean, I wasn't that clear yet. I had to deal with some threats, so that would have made it a longer game.
Well, let's jump into the next one. So this one's going to be 10 and 6.
10 and 6, man.
Okay. All right, I'm going to hop in the other room. Good luck. Have fun, sir.
Go for it.
Channel switched.
It's really cool to get this kind of analysis. I really like that. I really like that. I know facts. I feel like this is still pretty beginner friendly.
Channel
Wait,
switched.
Daniel, I have a request.
Yo, go for it.
Can we play the advanced variation of the Caro-Kann?
Absolutely.